Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today I'm in GTA Online to go over what to buy and what to avoid this week in online, and of course we're on the enhanced version on PC now, so that is very cool. The vehicle sitting here behind me is the B11 Strike Force, which is discounted this week, which you may have not known about, and it is actually a very good plane. Not quite as good as the F-160 Raiju, but we're going to talk about how good it is for the money in a little bit when we actually go over the discounts on the websites. But anyway, before we get into the video, leave a like if you enjoy it, dislike if you don't, and consider subscribing if you guys are new. I do these every single week, so if you find it useful or helpful, you may want to consider subscribing. But anyways, obviously we have the new GTA Online DLC stuff out now. I do have a video going over all the new content and whether or not you should buy it or you should avoid it. So if you want to know about new stuff, you should go and watch that video because I'm going to leave that out of this one. But anyways, we're going to go over some bonus money stuff to start things off. To start things off, for double money and double RP, we have the Sumo Remix Adversary Mode added back into GTA Online this week, and it's on double money and double RP for the remainder of the week. It's quite fun. If you got some friends, or if you don't, this is still a really fun game mode to play. I would recommend trying it out if you haven't already. Now, we also have one more money bonus, and that is if you complete the Titan job from the Oscar Guzman Flies Again DLC, you will receive $100,000, but you have to be the leader of the job, so that is important to note. And of course, you're going to need to own the new business for that. Speaking of the new business, we got it up here at Mackenzie Field. It goes for $1,475,000, but I've bought it already, so I can't show you the price, unfortunately. From what I'm hearing, I don't really think it's super worth it, depending on what you want to buy. For example, you can unlock the trade price by completing some of the missions for the Titan 250D and the DH7 Iron Mule. The thing is, though, the hangar costs $1,475,000, so if you only want the Iron Mule, you're going to save like roughly $600,000 on the trade price by completing that mission. But if you think about it, in order to get the business itself, it's going to cost you 1.5. So you're kind of in the hole like 900 grand. Plus, I've heard that it only pays $500,000 for completing it and maybe a bonus $250 for the first time completion. So regardless, you're still losing a couple hundred grand if you only wanted to get the trade price for the Iron Mule. Now, if you did want to get the trade price for the Titan 250D as well, then I would say it is probably worth buying the new business and doing the missions. But if you only wanted the trade price for the Iron Mule, or if you only want the Iron Mule in general, I don't really think the new business is super worth it. So I would say to avoid the new Mackenzie Field hangar if you only care about getting the DH7 Iron Mule. Now, obviously, if you care about new content and all that sort of stuff, you can do whatever you want. Buy the Mackenzie Field hangar. I really don't care that much, but that is just something to note about it. Now, for the property discount this week, we have regular hangars, and I do believe that you're going to need to own a regular hangar in order to unlock the Mackenzie Field hangar as a purchasable thing. So you're gonna need to have a hangar first. Now, I've talked about hangars for the last like 3 weeks in this series, but I'm going to talk about them again just super quickly. I recommend buying a hangar in Fort Zancudo because it will give you access to Fort Zancudo, so you can go in without getting a wanted level. Now, if you do any crime in the military base, you will get a wanted level, but you can enter it without getting one, which is quite useful. And you can also spawn there, so if you need to spawn at the military base really quickly, you can set your spawn location in your hangar, so long as you have the living quarters equipped. And I do recommend equipping the living quarters and the workshop. Other than that, everything else is completely cosmetic. Out of the hangars in the military base, I do think that hangar 3497 is one of the better ones, but I do think that if you wanted the most ideal location for the hangars in the military base, I think that 3499 is the best location because it is simply much closer to the highway when you enter Fort Zancudo, and your car will also spawn on the road right here, whereas here your car does not spawn very close. Now, you can always just go and get an aircraft because you're at your hangar anyways, but if you did want a car, it's not going to spawn very close if you have this hangar or this hangar. So this one is better for those reasons. So do with that information what you will. Starting us off with discounts on Warstock Cash and Carry, we got the B11 Strike Force, which is the plane sitting behind me. It has a 7-missile barrage. It has homing missiles. It has a front machine gun, which is explosive firing, so it shoots explosive rounds, which is cool, and it also gets access to bombs. And of course, it is a customizable plane, so you can upgrade the engine on it to make it faster, and you can also change the handling to make it maneuver a little bit quicker and more responsive, or less responsive depending on what you actually like. This is not a Pegasus vehicle at all, so you will need to own a hangar in order to purchase it in the first place. Now, as far as the dogfighting aircraft goes, the B-11 Strike Force is one of the better ones in the game. I would say it's probably top 3, maybe top 4. In comparison to some other ones like the Pyro or the Starling, it's going to probably lose most of the time, but it does have some really good armament, particularly for attacking ground targets, with the 7 missile barrage. Now, the cannon on it actually completely sucks. It takes a few shots to kill a player, but it will destroy a vehicle relatively quickly. And the homing missiles on it are nothing special. They're like any other jet's homing missiles. They're just not that great. However, for $2,280,000, I think the B-11 is an absolute steal, and I would recommend purchasing this thing this week. I do think it's an awesome plane. It's based off the A-10 Thunderbolt or the A-10 Warthog, depending on what you want to do about specifications or whatever. But it's a really good plane. I would highly recommend the B-11 Strike Force. I think it's awesome. Scrolling a little bit further down on Warstock, we have the V-65 Molotov and the Tula both discounted this week. The Molotov is a really underwhelming plane in my opinion. Now, I do like it. I think it looks absolutely awesome. It's got some nice liveries. It's fairly fast, but in comparison to even the B-11 and the F-160 Raiju, or even the Hydra and Laser, the Molotov is really not that good. It has machine guns on it, but they're non-explosive, so they're not really that great. And the homing missiles that it has are like any other jet. It's really not that special. I would not really recommend purchasing the Molotov unless you got like way too much money and you don't know how to spend it. Then maybe you want to consider purchasing it just because it's a cool vehicle. But I think for the vast majority of players, it's not really worth it. We also have the Tula discounted this week for $2,460,000 if you don't have the trade price, or $1,845,000 if you do have the trade price. The Tula is really cool for one simple aspect, or actually a couple aspects really, and it does have VTOL mode, which you can see here. The wings totally rotate and you can take it off like a helicopter, and the other cool feature is also shown in this picture, and you can land it in water, which is pretty cool. And very occasionally this could maybe be useful for like certain CEO cargo missions where the crates are in the water, but I think for the majority of the time and for most people, the Tula is not going to be worth purchasing. It is not very good. Now, it can be equipped with JTOW, which is cool. It's like a jet takeoff assist, which will allow it to boost. And I think you can also boost in the air, if I'm not mistaken. It does also have front-mounted MGs that the pilot can control, and a passenger can control this gun, which is sitting on the tail. But overall, I feel like for either of these prices, the Tula is way too expensive. If this thing was like 1.5 and like 1 million for the trade price, I'd say it's kind of a cool plane and maybe you'd want to do it, but it's also horribly slow and not very maneuverable. So I really don't recommend the Tula. I would avoid it this week. On Elitist Travel, we got 2 more discounts. We got the Howard NX-25 and the Seabreeze. The Seabreeze is a really, really awesome plane. It is aquatic capable, so you can actually land it on the water. And as a matter of fact, you can dive this thing straight into the water and it will fully submerge and come back out of the water, which is really, really neat. And it's also weaponizable, which is pretty sweet. I think for these 2 prices, the Seabreeze is actually a pretty worthy purchase. I would recommend this plane, and if you want to know more about it, I do have a customization and review on it on my channel, so you can go and seek that out if you do want to know a little bit more about it before spending the money to actually get it. But I would say that I do recommend the Seabreeze. It is a pretty cool plane. Now, the Howard NX-25 is kind of another story. It's pretty fast and it's pretty cool looking, but I really don't feel like it's worth it. Now, it is upgradable within the hangar and everything like that, but I just simply can't justify for an unarmed plane spending $778,000 or $585,000, depending on if you have the trade price or not, especially when the Seabreeze is actually cheaper than it, and the Seabreeze is weaponizable and much, much better and more useful overall. The Seabreeze is definitely the one that you should purchase out of these 2. I would absolutely avoid the Howard NX-25. I just don't think it's worth it. And we do have another discount this week on HSW conversions. They are 30% off, and if you do have GTA Plus, which I don't recommend, but anyway, it doesn't matter, it is 40% off. So that is something to note. Now, we do have some more vehicle discounts, which we're going to talk about right now. We have a discount on the Bravado Yuga 4x4, which I believe is created by taking the Bravado Yuga, which is on the Benny's website. Yeah, that is the Bravado Yuga 4x4. It is 30% off for the upgrade into the Yuga 4x4. So that is kind of cool. If you guys are interested, I mean, it's a cool looking vehicle. I don't think I've actually ever driven it, to be honest. So I might want to do that this week. We'll have to see what happens. But I think it's a pretty cool looking vehicle at the very least. Over on Southern San Andreas Super Autos, we got the Declasse Granger 3600 LX discounted for $1,050,000, and if it's not The trade price, it should be about $1.5 million, I do believe. The Granger 3600 LX is Imani Tech capable, so you can put the armor plating on it. It also has bullet resistant windows, which can take about 15 shots from an assault rifle and a few shots from a heavy sniper and other weapons like that. I can take 4 RPGs with the Imani Tech armor plating on it, and you can put the missile lock-on jammer on it. It is fairly cheap right now. If you have it for the trade price, I'd say it's kind of a cool vehicle to purchase, but I do think there are better Imani Tech capable armor plated vehicles out there that you can get for just a little bit more money, like the Enos Jubilee, for example, that are going to have a lot better performance than the Granger 3600 LX. So if you're looking for a performance Imani Tech SUV, this is not really the one to go for. In fact, this thing I do believe is actually slower than the original Granger, which has been in GTA 5 since release. So that is something to note, and that thing costs 35 grand, by the way. So this thing performance-wise is not very good. Personally, I would spend some extra money and get an Enos Jubilee if you're in the market for an Imani Tech SUV, or just save up and get like an STX or something like that, because that's going to be a lot better value overall compared to the Granger. This thing does also have front-mounted machine guns capable, though. And it does also have the oil slick proximity mine dropper available for it as well. So do with that information what you will, but I don't really recommend it because the performance is quite bad. But if you really just like the Granger, I mean, for sure, buy it right now while it's on sale. You might as well. The Vapid Ratel is also discounted this week on Southern San Andreas Super Autos under the two-door section. The Vapid Ratel, for some reason, I don't know why it's not in the off-road category. Maybe because it's actually trash off-road. That could be why. It's rear-wheel drive, which for starters with an off-road vehicle is just not something that you really want to hear. And it's not very inspiring off-road, to be completely honest. And you can get a Draugr for like right around the same price as the buy it now price. As far as the trade price goes, it's like kind of okay for that amount of money, but there's much better off-roaders that you can get, like the Canis Camacho for 345 grand. So I would buy a Camacho instead of buying the Vapid Ratel. I just don't think this thing's worth it. It's really not that great. I have driven it. I've like tested it quite thoroughly. It's just really not a good vehicle, to be honest. On Southern, we also have the Vapid Dominator GTX for $507,500, which is way too much money for this thing. Unfortunately, it has engine resistance, so the performance of it is absolutely god-awful, and it's actually very frustrating to drive. It's super slow, but it does have really good handling, but that's probably due to the fact that it doesn't go over like 110 miles per hour, which is really bad in GTA, especially now considering that on PC, we also have HSW. So it's really not worth it. It is a really cool looking car. I love the look of it. I just wish the performance actually matched the look of the vehicle, but unfortunately it doesn't. So I would avoid the Dominator GTX. I don't think it's worth it. On Legendary Motorsport, we got two discounts. One of them is on the Grotti Cheetah Classic for $605,500. Now, if you play on last gen, meaning the Xbox One or PlayStation 4 now, it feels so good to not say PC in there, by the way, now, just gonna say that. But anyways, if you play on those platforms, this thing is like the second best sports classic car in Grand Theft Auto Online as far as performance goes for sports classic races. It's second only to the Turismo Classic, and the Turismo Classic is like very minorly better than it. However, if you play on PS5, Xbox Series S and X, or PC now, the Grotti Turismo Classic now has an HSW upgrade, which will blow the Cheetah Classic out of the water. So if you play on the new platforms, I don't recommend it for performance. However, it is an awesome looking vehicle and it is really nice to drive. So for those reasons, I do recommend it. Customization is also really awesome on it, but as far as performance goes, you're going to lose races with this thing compared to the Turismo Classic, especially with HSW. So if you have HSW on your platform and you want a performance car, avoid the Cheetah Classic. However, if you don't care about performance and you want a nice car to customize and drive, this is a good car to purchase. And of course, we also have a discount on the Pegassi Zentorno for $507,500. You should buy it, no matter what platform you're on. And for some extra value, it's actually got a missile lock-on jammer available for it now, so that is even better. Makes the Zentorno, which was always a great car for the money, that much better. For $507,500, you cannot go wrong with the Zentorno. It also had added customization to it back in 2022, which is really awesome. So I would recommend the Zentorno absolutely 100%. Do not even question it. You should buy this thing immediately. Okay, so after all the discounts and everything, it's time to go to the casino finally, and then the car meet, and then all the dealerships and everything like that. So let's go ahead and do that. Within the casino, the podium vehicle this week is the Truffade Z-Type, which is kind of a refreshing sight. I haven't seen this car in a very long time, so happy to see it in the casino. You should try to win it this week for sure. Within the LS car meet, we got the Declasse Yosemite 1500 available to be won one. It goes for $1,205,000. And in order to unlock it, you're going to have to place top 3 for 2 days in a row, which is not terribly hard. I would definitely recommend trying to win this thing because it's actually a really awesome truck. Within the car meet, we got a bunch of removed vehicles here. We got the Ubermacht Zion Classic, which I actually don't think is removed. Then we also have the Dubachi Exemplar here, which is a removed vehicle. And of course, we have the Annis Helion as well. The Exemplars are a really cool 4-door version of the Dubachi Rapid GT. It goes for $205,000, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, good, I'm not mistaken. That's excellent. The Zion Classic is $812,000, which is a little bit much money in my opinion. However, the Exemplar I feel like is actually pretty fair value for the money. And the Annis Helion I do believe is actually a pretty good bargain. Oh, it's not that good of a bargain. $835,000. It's going to be worse than the Canis Camacho as far as performance goes, but it does have some really awesome customization, and it's a really cool looking vehicle. If you like off-roading, I'd say it might be worth purchasing. I'd say the Exemplar is worth purchasing for pretty much anybody just because it's a cool 4-door version of the Rapid GT, and it's removed. So is the Annis Helion as well. And the Ubermacht Zion Classic, like, it's kind of hit or miss, to be completely honest. I don't know. It's kind of a lot of money for what it is. And I guess since I have HSW on my platform now, we have the Karen Vivinite as the HSW vehicle in here, the HSW Premium Test Ride vehicle. So in case you care about that, that's the test ride vehicle. And within Simeons, we got some banger removed vehicles, as well as the Vapid Click, which is formerly one of the fastest muscle cars in GTA Online. I don't really recommend this thing anymore because the STX kind of kills it on track now. It doesn't have that much in the way of customization either, and it's almost $1 million. So I can't necessarily recommend the Vapid Click anymore, even though I would like to. It's just not that great of a car as it stands currently. We do also have the Benefactor Serrano in here, which is awesome. It goes for $110,000. It's got a little bit of customization. It's also convertible. With the top down, it looks really, really good. I would recommend the Serrano. We got the BF Bifta in here as well. I think it's $40,000 if I'm not mistaken. Oh, 75 grand. I mean, for 75K, like 75K in GTA is like nothing now. So if you're even remotely interested in it, I would say to buy it. Then, of course, we got the Vaca, which goes for $205,000. Oh, no, $240,000. My bad. For that price, it's one of the worst supercars in the entire game, and it doesn't have much in the way of customization, but it is removed, and if you like it for old time's sake, you may want to consider purchasing it. Not the greatest car ever. I can't wholeheartedly recommend it, but it is removed as well, so do with that information what you will. And, of course, we got the Dubachi 770 here as well, which is another removed vehicle, and I think it goes for $695, less than I thought. For that price, I feel like it's an okay car. It's not that great performance-wise. It's based off the Aston Martin 177 in real life, which is a really cool car. But customization-wise, there's not a whole lot that can be done to it, so I kind of feel like it is a lot of money for what it is. But it is removed, and if you like it, I would say it's worth purchasing right now because who knows when we're going to get it back into the game again. Now, you guys are probably going to be shocked, but at Luxury Autos, we have nothing special. We got the Banshee GTS and the Invitero Cockhead D5. No discounts on either of them. This livery, though, might be unique on the GTS. Let me know in the comments down below, but I feel like that's not one that I've seen before, so that might be something you guys may be interested in. Within the Chop Shop, guys, we got the Ocelot Virtue as the top tier vehicle this week, and in order to get it, you're going to need to complete the cargo ship robbery. The Vapid Hustler is also available in here, and you're going to need to complete the McTony robbery for that, and the Lampedetti Tropos Rally is available as well, and you're going to need to complete the Gangbanger robbery to get that. But unfortunately, none of the vehicles are claimable, as you can see by the lack of the garage icon on them. The priority file within the Garment Factory this week is the Project Breakaway file. Alright guys, and the gun van location is in Paleto Bay for today. It's right here behind this building, which is just across the street from Cluck and Bell. And at the gun van this week, let's find out what we got. As far as weapons go, we got the railgun, we got the tactical SMG, which is really good. You should buy that. The railgun's also pretty good. Double barrel shotgun, you could kind of take it or not. We have the heavy pistol, we have the machete, and of course we have the L. Strickler rifle, which I'm going to go ahead and buy. I don't actually think it's worth it at all by any means, so I probably wouldn't recommend it. But I think it does have some tracer rounds on it, which is pretty cool. Got Molotov, sticky bombs, and pipe bombs in here, and body armor as well. Let's test out this Strickler rifle. I think it has blue tracers. It does. Oh, that's really not as cool as I was hoping it would be. Can't believe I just spent 400 grand on that. But yeah, though, for sure. Yeah. It has a flashlight that's blue as well. So there you go, I guess. But anyway, we're going to go over the time trials now. So let's do that. Starting things off with your RC Bandito time trial. It is Cypress Flats. Your Junk Energy time trial is Mirror Park, of course. Your regular time trial is LSIA 2. And your HSW time trial is going to be right here by the purple dinosaur just across from the quarry, and it is going to end at the very bottom of the Elysian Island docks. Anyway guys, there you have it. That's been it for what to buy and what to avoid this week in Grand Theft Auto Online. If you enjoyed the video or if you learned something, leave a like, if not dislike, and consider subscribing to my channel if you guys are new. Again, I do these every single week, so if you find this useful, consider subscribing. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, take care. Peace.